All right. Okay, if I can call the Governance and Operations Committee meeting of November 22nd to order. We'll start with our operational reports and welcome Andrea. I'm assuming you're giving us the Communication Events Coordinators report and probably also speaking on item 2.1, which will be Silver City Day. So welcome, Andrea. It's been a while since you've been in front of council. And if you want to proceed with your report.
Thank you, Councillor Santori. So just to clarify, I'm just providing sort of a walkthrough of the website today.
Okay.
And then I'll jump into the Silver City Days agenda after that. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to share my screen and go through some of the features of the new website. It won't take long. I know you all received an email after launch to let you know that it had gone live. And hopefully you've all had an opportunity to kind of poke around a little bit, check it out, see some of the new features, but I'll point out some of those today. Okay, so I'm going to start, of course, with the home page. And just a little bit of a background. So back in early 2021, we approved the contract with eSolutions to continue a relationship with eSolutions to do a website refresh. And what that included was going through every single page on the website, every photo, every little bit of information with the other departments to ensure that everything was still current. Our website at the time was almost 6 years old, which is a little bit ancient for a website. And we revisited all of the information that we had to ensure that we were current and that we weren't holding any sort of obsolete information or incorrect information. So we launched the new website on November 10th. And of course, as with all new websites, anything new, we still have to kind of iron out the wrinkles. There are a few tiny little glitches, probably something that most people wouldn't notice, but from my end, I'm still working on a few things. So we'll just start with the homepage. It looks a lot different than the last website, but it has a lot more information. So the trend of websites has kind of moved back to having a lot more on your homepage than what we had previously. And the good thing about this homepage is it kind of gives you a snapshot of what you're going to see in the website. So of course you have your big splash images here on the front. And these are, we can change these out anytime we like, but they really should sort of advertise what the City of Trail is all about. So we've chosen, some of our main amenities that links people to those direct pages. And then scrolling down below a little bit further, we have these 4 blocks here. And again, we can change these out too, but we find that these are the pieces of information that people are looking for when they come to the website. So we want to make sure they're right there, easy to spot on the main page. And then down below, another great feature is that we have this sort of moving news feed. So every time we add a news piece, which could be, anywhere from 1 to 3 times a day, sometimes 0, but sometimes we have several, that this is always moving. So it's always fresh. There's always something to see. And it also gives the viewers an idea, again, what is included in the website. To the right, we have our community calendar. Again, this is always moving with what's coming up. And then our council calendar below. And then down below, we have these squares for popular services. Again, these are things that people are searching for regularly on the website. So we've made it easy for them to just go in, homepage, click, and they're done. And at the bottom, we have our links to our social media feeds. So I've kind of cheated a little bit. I've already pre-opened a bunch of the pages. I noticed my connection was a little bit slow. So I was going to click directly from the home page, but what I'm going to do is I am going to just go directly to those tabs just for the ease of.
Andrew, can council ask questions on a section per section, or do you want to wait till the end?
We can wait till the end unless there's something pressing that someone might forget. It's on the forefront of their mind.
Does anybody have any questions of council at this point of Andrea?
Well, just Andrea, yeah, when I went into it and I signed up, the first message came back, said it didn't work. And then the second time it did work. I mean, is it possible for you to check to see if I am signed up at some point? Not right now, but at some point?
So if you're talking about the subscription to the e-news,
Yeah, yeah.
yes, I can check to see that you're signed up.
Okay,
And
thank
that's
you.
good feedback to know that you received that message. So
Yeah.
I think a lot of people here have signed up. I haven't heard of that happening, so I'll go in and check it out for sure.
Yeah, I got 2 different messages. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Maybe I'll touch base with you after and we can I can have a look at those messages as well. So as I said, I just pre-opened a bunch of the pages just to have a quick look. So first is the community calendar. And new on the website are color-coded types of events. So if you go over here, you can see that you have different color-coded items for different kinds of events. Currently, we have a couple of city events listed, and we have a few parks and rec events listed. And if you click on, let's just say pizza and movie night here, it also gives you the upcoming dates of this recurring event. So this is a really easy to use piece for the admin. The calendar is something that we've always struggled with in the past, so that's really great for us. The council calendar, what's new for this site is that we have a direct link now to the video that was recorded from that specific meeting. And just like before, there's a direct link to the agenda and the minutes, and everything is listed in a chronological order. If we go to our news page, our news module, again, everything is listed as it was posted, but there's this easy to subscribe button that's available on every single news page, which makes it very easy for our subscribers. Just to go back a little bit, when we did launch the new site, I did send out a news item indicating that everyone that had subscribed to our old site needed to resubscribe. I think that's going well. The uptake has been good so far. And then as Councillor Kashoni mentioned, there may have been a glitch, so we'll figure that out as well. Subscribers can choose their category. So they can choose all of them, one, several, however they wish. But as you can see, the job postings and the bids and tenders are also included in the news subscription if they choose. Oh, I'm getting a little bit of a, can't really see my screen there. Okay. So the new website also includes our landing pages to other major items. So the airport, Silver City Days, Trail Riverfront Center, and Trail Museum. So I have chosen to show you the Trail Regional Airport website. Again, it works very well for this purpose, as one of the new features are these integrated buttons that we can include on the page. And this makes it much easier for people wanting to get, in this case, airport information, a quick click to book their flight, check their flight status, and view their airport webcams. And if you go through the site, you will see the other landing pages for the museum, the Riverfront Center. I did pull up the Silver City Days tab as well. And again, you can see it's branded with the Silver City Days information. And on the right, you can see all of the subpages that coordinate with that particular landing page. I also wanted to note some of the new features for the pages, and this is a good page to show you. We're able to include what we call an accordion. So for these pages that in the past have contained tons and tons of information, you know, you look at the page, it's overwhelming, but these accordions sort of make the information a little bit cleaner and make it easier for the user to access what they're looking for. So in this case, this just kind of outlines some of the major features or pieces of information that a user of the Trail Aquatic and Leisure Center would want to know. Some of them include information like this, whereas some of them include perhaps a link. And then also we have the ability to highlight information using these color codes. In the past, we used things like bolding and block letters, italics, but we're trying to keep it super clean, and these features really help. Another feature that I wanted to point out is that each page includes a contact us section at the very bottom, which allows people to connect with the department that's associated with the page. So if I click send email to Parks and Rec Administration, as a user, I would get this box. I can simply fill it out. I can even attach a file, a photo, perhaps I had an issue or something like that. I can include that in the message. And the person associated with this email address will receive that promptly. Another feature that is new to the website is our feedback form. So you will find this at the bottom of every page. I will note that there was a glitch with this late last week, but it has been fixed. So if you go into the feedback form, and again, this is associated with each page. So if I go into this form and I fill out, sure, the website's good. I do have a suggestion, and I suggest please include more information about fees or something like that. And I fill out the form and send it in, I will know that the user sent it in from this page, which makes it a lot easier for admin to track what needs to be done. Also, if you're looking around the website, and again, I know it can be overwhelming. As a municipal website, we do have over 200 pages of content. So, it is a lot to take in as a user. And I think that's typical of municipal websites. We try to simplify information as best as we can, but we have a lot of information. One of the features that I like to use is the sitemap. The sitemap tells you exactly which page is under which section of the website. And if there are subpages, like we saw with the airport, you can see that they live under the main airport page. Another example, let's see, would be down in City Hall, perhaps the mayor and council page, where we find that. Here we go. And then we can see the list of pages that live under the mayor and council page. So this just kind of gives you an idea of how many pages there are, but as a user, it's really easy to look at to find what you're looking for.
Andrea, can I just make a suggestion on this if possible? And I haven't looked at it before, the one you were just showing.
Oh, the sitemap?
Yes. Maybe it's just me, but would it be possible, like where the main title is, like where it says airport, and then you've got the categories of the information under that? If airport could be with a colored background, just so that the main, what's the word I'm looking for? So that the main page or the main topic be an airport, and then everything underneath that falls within the airport. Like everything just seems to be the same font, same color all the way through. I guess I'm not making myself clear.
Or maybe a
understand.
bigger indent,
Or a
like
bigger
you-
font or something.
or indent the subcategories over a little bit more.
It's possible. However, we do work within a template that's provided by eSolutions.
Oh,
So if that is something that we wanted to do, we would have to go back to them and work with them. And of course, there would be a cost associated with that. So we do have to work within the template that they provide us with. But a good thing to do would, I could go into other municipal websites that are managed by eSolutions and see if they've done something similar. And if so, we could find out if we could use that specific template for this specific page.
yeah, it just seems that, I mean, my first glance at it, my first reaction would be I got to go through every one to find what I'm looking for, right?
Yeah, I agree. It does look kind of busy.
Okay, another option would be to go to the drop-down menus right from any of the pages, actually. So if you're you're in Live, perhaps you're on the city facilities page. You could, again, look under Live, but this does not give you the subpages that are associated with the main page.
Right.
Mhm.
So there's different
Andrea,
ways.
is it possible, Andrea, through the website programming to track how many people actually go to that page and utilize it?
Yeah, there are reports that we can print to look at the traffic.
The other suggestion I would make is, you see up on top here, live, work, play there, I'd have the site map up top there. That's where I
Yeah,
would,
again, we have to work within the template that we've been
Okay.
provided, so we would have to find out if that's even possible. The
I'll
site
be
map
like-
is just something that that I like to use, and maybe that's because I'm an admin, but there are various ways to find what you're looking for. Again, you could go to each of the verticals, you could
Yeah.
use the search bar. When you are in a page, let's say you're in, I'm just gonna go to a random page here, recreation facilities.
Mhm.
Again, you can go back up to the main menu and pull down to see what's available, or you can use the search bar at the top, or you can go into the site map, depending on what your preference is. And again, it might depend if you're on a mobile device or if you're on your desktop. You also have your menu that pulls up on the side here. So let's say you wanted to look at the animal control page, you know that a dog license page sits under the animal control page.
Mhm. Well, I like the site map. I didn't even know that that's what it was. So I would use the site map myself personally.
Okay.
But if you didn't know what the site map was, then that would be a problem. Thank you.
So site maps are included on, should be on every website. It was included on our last website. It's just something that a lot of people don't think about using, but for me as an admin, knowing that there are so many pages, I do find it a helpful tool. I do find it easy to look at, more so on my desktop than on my mobile. Again, things are going to look a little bit different. So just to recap, so we'll find out if it's possible to work in a different template for the site map. And the suggestion was to have the main page stand out more so than the sub pages. So I can inquire and find out about that.
Thanks.
And I think that's all I wanted to show you today, but I do encourage you to go through it when you get a chance. You know, spend 10-15 minutes looking at the various pages. Feel free to use the feedback form that's at the bottom of each page, or you can send me an email. You know, if there was another suggestion in addition to the site map, please let me know and we can look into it.
Thank you, Andrea.
You're welcome.
Any questions of Andrea on the new website or any other suggestions?
No, it looks great, Andrea.
Yeah,
It's
it's good.
really nice.
Very nice.
Great.
Thanks for your work, Andrea.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you. Okay, if there are no questions regarding the new website, the next item on the agenda is Silver City Days. And there is a recommendation before council to proceed with the May of 2022 Silver City Days, providing that all restrictions have been lifted by January 31st, 2022. Did you want to add any further comment to that, Andrea?
I will just add that, and I think I did include this, but I reached out to the committee as a whole to get their sense and their feeling of a drop dead date that we could use to gauge whether or not we were going to proceed. It did seem as though January was the timeline. Anything after that, we feel would be, you know, not enough time to plan such a multifaceted event. And again, as stated in the report, you know, as restrictions sit right now, it would be impossible to run an event of this magnitude, considering the regional and provincial restrictions. However, we are expecting those to sort of change in a positive direction soon. We don't know when, and we don't know what those restrictions will be. But if we can, by January 31st, if we have, you know, word that we can proceed with, you know, the traditional events, the indoor, the outdoor, and be able to, and that's why I included Reno's snapshot of the financials, you know, to show the importance of the revenues that we pull in from some of the major activities.
I'll move as recommended.
Seconded by Andrea, the only thing that I would suggest or caution the committee on is although the restrictions may change, sorry. Although the restrictions may change on January 31st, there's always the possibility that it can get worse again in February or March. I think we need to ensure that whether it be with the Midway or the booth providers, that there's some language in that contract that will not hold the city liable to any minimum payments or damages as a result of having to cancel the event because of a provincial health order. So other than that, let's hope it's all gone. But I think we need to protect ourselves in case it turns again, and then in March or April, they turn around and say, sorry, got to shut it all down again. That's all I have.
Agreed. And I think that when the committee is able to, come together, meet and talk about the possibility of the event, then we can, discuss all of these possibilities. There's still a lot of unknowns as far as, how we would handle, the food vendors outside, inside. What are we going to do about the deposit for each of those vendors? So, I think as a group that we need to come up with, like you said, the proper language for those contracts.
So we
Chair
have,
Santori,
yes,
just before voting, I didn't catch who seconded the motion.
Colleen.
Thank you.
So not here having any further questions. All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Thanks very much, Andrea.
Thanks, Andrea.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Good night.
Okay, moving on to item 2.2, disposal of surplus computer equipment. This usually happens annually to some degree or another. Did you want to comment on that at all, Michelle?
I can. Thank you, Chair Santori. Typically, the city's computer equipment is replaced on a 3-year cycle. And so in past, council has given permission for the disposal of excess equipment to be first offered out to internal city staff on an auction basis in order to garner some revenue from the disposal. And after which, if there's been not enough uptake to dispose of the excess equipment, we have gone through a transparent process whereby the equipment is offered out to local nonprofit organizations, and we've had success in allowing some nonprofit organizations the used equipment. The equipment we have available presently, there's in excess of 40 desktops, a number of laptops, some Surface Books, and 3 Apple iPad 2 tablets. So this equipment, it is aged. Whether or not there will be any internal interest or even from the nonprofit groups remains to be seen, but the authorization of council is being sought. And as such, it's being recommended that council approve the internal auction for the initial disposal of old equipment, all old computers, laptops, and tablets, following which any excess equipment be donated to local nonprofit organizations utilizing a transparent process.
So move.
Moved by Eleanor. Do we have a seconder? Lisa, just a question, Michelle. So all of these items here are 3 years old or some older than 3 years?
For the desktops and laptops and Surface Books would likely be aged at 3 years, because that is the 3-year cycle of replacement for that equipment. I'm not certain about the Apple iPad 2 tablets and what their use is and what their age is.
So, and making it available to internally, does that include council members?
If council wishes, the motion indicated city employees. I believe the suggestion, just as long as we know what your intent is. Sorry, the
Uh,
reporting had indicated to internal employees.
Okay.
The motion was silent on that. So as long as we know what your wish is.
Any other questions of Michelle? Not hearing any. All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, the next item on the agenda is the Trail Riverfront Center Patron and Building Management. And there's a request that has come from the Trail Riverfront Center on some steps to take to minimize or reduce negative impacts due to some social issues that are causing some problems. I guess, Michelle, you'll want to elaborate on the letter.
I will. Thank you, Chair Santori. I understand that when Sergeant Wasintowicz was last providing some crime stats updates to council, there was interest from the owners of the Royal Theatre to participate in a discussion with council around some of the concerns arising in the downtown. Ms. Milne was asked to put those concerns into writing and has submitted a letter dated November 8th, which is included with your agenda packages around the concerns that they are experiencing in the area of the Dudney Avenue Lane and the alley that runs behind the Riverfront Center and behind the Royal Theatre. There was earlier this year set up in the Career Development Services carport an ad hoc tenting encampment for the vulnerable population who were testing positive and needed to isolate as a result of COVID results. That has since been disbanded, but because of that congregation for a period of time, there were a number of concerns that both the Riverfront Center management and staff had, as well as the other businesses in that vicinity. One of the suggestions, though, that Ms. Milne brought forward was the removal of the pedestrian bridge that runs from the multipurpose room in the Riverfront Center to Jubilee Park. She was suggesting that if that bridge were removed, emergency responders could more readily access the rear lane, being Dudney Avenue. A concern, though, from the management of the Riverfront Center is that that is a very important amenity feature for the programming that takes place in the multipurpose room. They do use that for accessing Jubilee Park. The reporting that Sarah Benson Lord, our Museum Archives and Visitor Center manager, has summarized and put forward to you with your agendas talks about the importance of that bridge in order for the important programming, particularly of the library, but also of the museum, to continue and utilizing the outdoor Jubilee Park space. It's really important, though, to also recognize that even if that bridge were removed, because the second story of the building was shifted 45 degrees, a portion of the building overhangs that laneway. And so bollards were placed to prevent any overheight vehicles from passing through that lane. So it's very intentional that there is not ready vehicular access through the lane, because damage could be done to the Riverfront Center facility itself if an overheight vehicle were to travel through. The recommendation of Riverfront Center staff is that that bridge remain, but they do want council to be aware of the efforts that they are taking as staff to engage with and provide some assistance and services to the vulnerable population. Because through COVID, many of the facilities that would have been available aren't any longer, but the Riverfront Center does remain a place where people of all walks can enter, enjoy the amenities there, use the washrooms, and that is certainly preferred from the staff perspective rather than having any disturbances in the outdoor spaces. One suggestion, though, that Ms. Benson Lord has brought forward in consultation, of course, with the management of the library, is that council consider the removal of the exterior tables and benches for the winter season. There is quite a bit of loitering that happens there. There's mess, there's disruptive behaviors, and it does prove to be disruptive for book drop-offs, for children's programming, and for the general aesthetics at the entryway of the Riverfront Center. So the Riverfront Center staff are hopeful that you will give some consideration to at least a seasonal removal to see if some of those disturbances can be minimized over the winter season. Lastly, they are suggesting that council approve and fund the installation of more Sharps bins, so disposal bins for any needles in the immediate area of the Trail Riverfront Center, and in particular in Jubilee Park, so that there is adequate facilities for Sharps to be safely disposed of. And with that, the recommendations are included there. It is again being sought that council not move to make any change to the bridge that provides the connectivity. And I should also speak to one other suggestion that Ms. Milne advanced in her letter. She had suggested that council either increase bylaw enforcement efforts or nighttime security. I think it's important to clarify that our bylaw enforcement officers don't provide security services or interventions in the same way that the RCMP would. But if council is wanting to provide any increases in nighttime security, we would need to build that into our financial plan for next year, 2022. Council had in late 2019 provided additional funding for increased security. Or sorry, it was in mid 2020 that council had provided some additional funding for increased nighttime security. And since that time, your operating plan has been underfunded for those particular weekly hours. But looking at the 2022 budget, we are looking to include adequate funding to allow for 34 hours weekly of the nighttime patrols. So with that being said, it's being recommended that council receive the report for information and support the continuing efforts of the Riverfront Center's management staff in implementing measures aimed at reducing negative impacts as a result of the growing social issues in the downtown, that council approve the removal of the exterior tables and benches for the winter season, and that council approve and fund the installation of more Sharps bins in the immediate area of the Riverfront Center.
So move.
Thank you, Michelle.
I'll second that.
I got my hand up there, Sandy, if you can
Yeah,
see
go
it.
ahead, go ahead.
Now, is that, Michelle, is that bridge used in the winter from the multipurpose room?
Not so much in the winter. It could be if they were doing any outdoor exploratory work with, say, the children's programming. But it is definitely heavily utilized in the 3 seasons, being
Yeah,
spring, summer, and fall.
but wasn't the intention just to remove it for the winter and then put it back in the spring?
Well, there's really no purpose to remove the bridge for the winter because the bollards must remain in place.
Okay, did we, I guess, wonder if we can get a total cost of the kind of money we've spent in terms of extra security downtown, as maybe Reno can make a note of that and see if we can get that to come forward at some other time. I didn't realize we were $25,000 over the budget so far. but thank you, yes.
that
Yes, go
That
ahead.
$25,000 is the budgetary overrun as a result of the increase in security hours for this year.
And then it would be
$2021.
at least $25,000 next year too, then, if we
But we're
continue.
built, yeah, unless council directs otherwise, staff have built that into the 2022 operational plans.
I'd just like to get a number for the 2021 total. Thank you.
If I'm not mistaken, I think the crank up brought it to, I think we went from 45,000 to 60,000, if I'm not mistaken, but Reno could probably provide that information for us.
Just point of information too, we also increased the RCMP by 48,000 too, as far as my understanding went.
Okay.
No more questions?
Can I just can you repeat the motion again or the recommendation here in front of us? Just
Yes,
for the
certainly.
public, in case they didn't, I don't know if there's anybody watching, but if we can have the motion reread or
Certainly.
the recommendation then.
The recommendation is that council receive the report for information and support the continuing efforts of the Riverfront Center's management staff in implementing measures aimed at reducing negative impacts as a result of the growing social issues in the downtown core. That council approve the removal of exterior tables and benches for the winter season to mitigate mess and loitering, which proves disruptive for book drop-off, children's programming, and general aesthetics. And that council approve and fund the installation of more sharp spins in the immediate area of the Trail Riverfront Center and specifically in Jubilee Park.
I did that for do we have any viewers that are online now?
No.
Oh, no, okay. Okay, that wasn't
Oh, can I
necessary.
just,
Go ahead, Colleen.
thank you, Sandy. I just wanted to let council know that I have been down and well, actually through talking to Samantha Murphy, the library director, and you know, she was describing to me what was going on behind the library, underneath the bridge that's attached to the library, and where the people living with substance abuse and the homeless are living part-time. You know, there is a alcove in there behind by the stairs, and that's where they were actually going and living and camping out and, you know, doing suspicious things. And it's been brought to the library director's attention, and it was also brought to the Sarah Benson Lord, what was happening back there. So they are building a storage unit in that alcove, which is desperately needed by the library and the museum. So that's going to help the situation there. They, you know, wanted to remind me that the fire truck can't get through the alley anyway because of the overhang of the roof, the second floor. There's no way the trucks can get through there. And I mean, they knew that back in 2018. So they have it purposely blocked off, I believe. There is an alley between the library and CDS, Career Development Services. And that alley, the garbage trucks goes in and out of there, and the fire trucks been in and out of it, and the ambulance. And so they're able to get in there and service anybody who's in distress or needs help down there as it is. So what they explained to me is that the bridge isn't the problem. It's the problem is the table and chairs out front where people are loitering, and they're also you know, leaving garbage behind, and it's not just the homeless, it's not just the vulnerable people, it's, you know, people within the community in general, but more so the homeless people. You know, they do go there to use the internet and to visit with their friends, and quite often the city does go in and clean up after them. And so does Sheila Adcock's group will go down and clean up that area as well. So I think that it's probably a good time to try this as a pilot project of, taking the chairs out and tables and see what happens. But, I guess another concern for me when I was reading this is, and I don't know if we have anything that we can do to help support them, but I'm wondering where this group, the homeless and people living with substance abuse, if they don't have that area to congregate, what alley are they, where are they going to go next? And I'm trying to be very non-judgmental here, but I think we need to think about that. Where are they going to? Is there a center or a place, a warming place for the winter that they can be at? And maybe that's not the city's responsibility, but you know what, in the end, it will be, because, it's going to move somewhere else and we will have to be looking after that area where they move to. Let's face it, the best thing that could happen is for us to get supportive housing. And by supportive housing, for me, that means support 24/7. But that doesn't look like that's going to happen in the near future. But I also wanted to comment on Lisa's letter as well, Lisa Millen's letter as well, because they are struggling with the issues that are going on near their business. And understandably, they're concerned about their staff as well. They're concerned about the people that are going into the theater, for it to be a safe place for their visitors as well. And Samantha and Sarah also mentioned that they're concerned about their staff safety. They're concerned about their members' safety and people going in to visit the museum. It is a huge safety issue, but I think that doing what the Samantha and Sarah have mentioned, I think that's the beginning. That is the beginning, but I think we also need to look forward to see what the end of that looks like, the end of taking those tables and chairs out. And, I don't know, I wish we had something else to be available for these homeless people. And I don't know. I think it's the right move. And I think it'll help Lisa and Jason's position as well. I'm just trying to look forward into the future and think about where this is going to end, because the beds at the shelter are full, and there is nowhere for them to go. So I'm voting on the recommendation, of course, but I just think council needs to be aware that there will be another issue. Thank you.
Thanks, Colleen. Are there any other comments?
Nope.
Lisa?
Yeah, so I think it's just really important for us to take this first step to support the City of Trail staff. And I'm pleased that there seems to be general support for this, because they're the ones that are living and working, in every single day at the building. And so they see what's going on best. And I'm glad they put a great report together, some important recommendations that we can act on. And I'm happy to vote on that whenever we're ready. But Ms. McIsaac, I just didn't know, with respect to Councillor Kashoni's request of financial information on the cost of security, et cetera, do we want that crafted as a motion for staff to action it, just so that it's formally requested rather than just informally requested off the floor?
Oh, well, once you have voted on the motion, because you do have a motion moved and seconded, then yes, it could be a motion put forward around the security costs.
Thank you.
So just another quick comment, please.
Go ahead.
I think council has to remember that at the last meeting, our council meeting, when we approved the increase in the beds at the shelter, we also put in there that extra 24/7 security would be a part of that agreement. So I don't know if that's on the city's bill or if that's on the CDS.
CDS, from my understanding.
Mhm.
On BC Housing, as far as I understand.
Yeah, Michelle?
Yes, thanks, Chair Santori. It was, the motion of council had indicated that the additional security services be provided 24/7 if at all possible. In working and hearing from BC Housing, who will fund the added security, they are looking at the provision of security from, I believe it's 7 a.m. through to either 7 p.m. or 11 p.m. Funding and finding appropriate service providers for the overnight wasn't feasible. So the added cleaning will be undertaken by the shelter operator, and additional security will be in place during the general operating hours of the downtown businesses, but there will be a period of time in the overnight from, say, 11 p.m. through till early morning hours where added security wasn't feasible.
Any other comment?
But as I should say, though, the shelter is still manned by 2 people on that overnight period.
No. Okay,
And if I may, I think it's important for the public to know that the security that's on the streets, they can only observe and report. And correct me if I'm wrong, Michelle, they cannot intervene. But I had an informal chit chat over a coffee with Mike Wasinowicz last week. And he conveyed to me that the Career Development Services has been successful in eliminating the loitering that's been taking place behind the Royal Theatre. Has anybody else heard that?
well, I've been down there a couple of times now in the last week, and I went down again today, and I don't see anybody down in that alley.
Right. That's what he.
All I
passed.
can say.
And the other thing too, that, it's sad and it's not the RCMP's fault. But in Lisa's letter where she makes reference to, I think it was Lisa's letter, criminal activity. And I'm assuming that is the use of illegal drugs. We can check again with Mike Wasinowicz, but my understanding is the RCMP do not take action on individuals with drugs in their possession, providing it is for their own personal use. And only if you have an amount that would be deemed to be for the purposes of trafficking narcotics that an arrest will be made. I would ask staff if they could possibly check again with Mike Wasinowicz to see if in fact that is the case. Because, if you read letters to the editor that we're receiving, many of them refer to these acts that are taking place and the illegal use of drugs. But as I said, unless I stand to be corrected, the RCMP are not arresting people that have possession of drugs for their own personal use. So if there are no other comments or questions, we have a motion on the floor. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion is carried. And now, Lisa, you wanted to make a motion for staff, directing staff to provide a total year-to-date expenditure for security services.
Sure. Maybe it should come from Councillor Kashoni because he's the one who brought it off the floor. So
Yeah,
I'm
I'll
happy to
make that-
second that.
Yeah, I'll make that motion and also include any additional RCMP costs, which my notes say 48,000, but I may not be right. So I'll move that, and Lisa seconded. Thank you very much, Lisa.
You're
Okay.
welcome. And RCMP costs were probably for the foot patrol augmentation, maybe.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'll let staff sort through that.
Good.
All those in
Thank
favor, of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion is carried.
Mhm.
Okay, the last item on today's agenda is the 2022 utility fund budget and associated user fees. And on that note, welcome, Reno.
Thank you, Chair Santori. Good afternoon, everyone. Mayor Payson, Council, CAO McIsaac. I'm here to present the 2022 utility fund budgets and user rates. And I ask that Council approve the budgets as presented or as amended following Council's review. Chair Santori, if I may, I'll do a high-level executive summary of everything, but if anybody has a question to ask, I'm open to questions and will answer to the best I can.
Okay, thank you, Reno.
Thank you, sir. So overall, I'm proposing water sewer garbage rates increase to $816.50 from $802.60, and this is a $13.90 increase, or 1.73%. This operationally is a pretty status quo budget for 2022 over 2021. And the idea was to keep the increases consistent with prior year increases as we look to hopefully get out of the pandemic for ourselves and for everyone. So the garbage budget, there is a proposed increase of 2.14% from $140 in 2021 to $143 for 2022. And again, the main cost drivers here with the garbage are the refuge collection contract, which increases 2% per year, and then the RDKB tipping fees and the tonnage that the city collects. So pretty straightforward cost drivers there. And I think we can keep that within certainly 2%. The water budget, again, proposed a flat rate increase of 2.01% from $393.60 to $401.50. Again, keeping 2022 rates in line with 2021. Overall, administrationally, we're going to increase the numbers by $7,000, or pardon me, 1.97%. And this is mainly due to labor costs associated with administration and supervision. Purification and treatment, we're increasing that by over $17,000, or 2.81%. And this is primarily due to the maintenance and calibration work that we need to do in 2022 with the UV reactor at the water treatment plant in Sunningdale. So, that's an important cost right there, important work that the city does. Then on the operation and maintenance, we got a subtle increase of $2,700, or 0.4%. This is where we thought we may be able to hold the line on some of our costs. And as I mentioned in my water report, if we do have any actuals that exceed the budget, we can pull some monies from surplus that we've built up. The water fund is well funded. And so we feel that that's an area where we could look to hold lines on costs. With the debt for the water fund, subtle decrease, and that is a simple result of interest costs being reduced. And then for capital transfers, looking at an increase of 2.66%. Trying to keep capital transfers between 2 and 3%, which seems to be a nice range right now. Going forward, we'll see how that transpires. The sewer budget, looking to keep a proposed flat rate increase to 1.12%. That's $3 from the rates in 2021 from $269 to proposed $272 in 2022. And again, going through where the main cost drivers are on the administration side, we're looking at an increase of $4,200, or 1.82%. Again, this is labor costs associated with administration and supervision, but we've got a subtle increase in our insurance premiums. I'm expecting insurance premiums to go up. I'm just not sure how much right now. Then with the maintenance and collections, again, we're going to increase that, or we propose to increase that by $14,650 or 3.22%. This is again primarily driven by higher maintenance costs associated with the lift stations. Robertson Lift Station in particular, there are some work that the utilities department would like to do. And so this is where we're going to look to increase our spending for the sewer department. With the debt, it's the same as 2021, so no increase, no decrease there. And then with the capital transfers, we're looking at a $9,000 or 2% increase in capital transfer 2022 over 2021. Again, right now, trying to keep the capital transfers in a bit of a 2 to 3% range, which seems to keep, in real terms, investment reasonable and up to date. So thank you, Chair Santori. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them as the best of my.
Thank you, Reno. Are there any questions, Lisa?
This is directed more at Councillor Kashoni. Councillor Kashoni, do you have any sense that the regional district tipping fees, we might get a late announcement on an increase in tipping fee? I seem to remember last year we had set our budget and then there was a bit of a late announcement that we needed to have an adjustment on our bylaws. So do you have any information on that, or do you feel that we're quite sound with the numbers that we budgeted right now?
We're not, the first discussion on the tipping fees and actually on the solid waste is on the 25th. And it's a lengthy meeting where they're coming with all their work plans. But what I can do, I am going to actually be questioning some of the increases generally in that, and I'll specifically question that. And if I get that feeling, I'll get in touch with you and Reno both and let you know. But right now I can't say. But I just wanted to say that's a pretty good rate, because looking at 2016 to 2022, basically we've come up only $89. We're looking at about $12 a year increase over those 8 years, or 7 or 8 years. So that's really a reasonable number. Thank you, Reno. That's good.
Yeah, I'd have to concur with Robert. I mean, when you consider that inflation and CPI is up around where inflation is up anywhere from 3 to 6%, and we're holding the line at 1.37. I think Reno, you and the others in the department should be commended in coming in with a marginal increase of 1.37%. So thanks very much.
Yeah, just so we're looking at $1 a month increase over 2016 over now, each $12 a year. So $1 a month, $12 a year average increase over the last 6 or 7 or 8 years, whatever it is. So it's great. Thank you very much, everybody.
Price of vegetables have gone up more than that.
Yeah.
Coffee's gone up more than that.
So are there any other questions of Reno? If not, do we have to approve each utility separately, garbage, water, and sewer, or all three lumped into one? Can't hear you, Michelle. There you go.
Thank you. Unless council had any concern about one particular budget, you could pass one motion, being the recommendation that council approve the 2022 utility fund budgets as presented, and staff be directed to bring forward the required bylaws as part of approving the 2022 user rates in advance of staff producing and distributing the annual utility invoices. And we in fact do have the bylaws scheduled for your first, second, and third readings, depending on how things go at this meeting, for the regular council meeting tonight.
Thanks, Michelle. Are there any members of council that are questioning either the water, sewer, or budget, or water, sewer, or garbage budget as presented?
No.
Lisa?
Well, I mean, I'm a little bit concerned about garbage just because of what happened last year with the tipping fees, but I don't feel that we necessarily need to draw it or separate it out, because last year when the budget numbers came in late, we were able to accommodate that with a bylaw change. So it's not a big deal. I just want to flag that hopefully we'll be able to get a sense of if we're going to need to change the bylaw based on what Councillor Kashoni is hearing at the regional district.
Okay, thank you,
Just to give
Lisa.
you a little tiny bit of information, by fall 2022, there's going to be a substantial drop in the cost because once the organic diversion comes in, which is charged at a much lower rate, and we may even be able to go to one bag by that particular time, because that's what the experience has been in some of the other communities.
Thank you. Okay, so we need a motion. If there's no objection to the budget presented, I need a motion to approve as recommended.
I'll
Lisa,
make that motion.
Oh, sorry, moved by Lisa, seconded by Paul. If
mhm.
there's no other discussion, all those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Great, thank you.
It's unanimous. The
Thank you,
motion-
Reno.
Motion
Thank
is
you,
carried.
everybody.
And now if I may ask for adjournment, and then we'll reconvene the regular council meeting at 6 o'clock, and that's moved by Lisa.
Yep.
All
Bye,
those in-
everybody.
Okay, talk to you later.